Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, heels and faces to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. You already know who I art. That's right, it is I, Dirty Dawn. As usual, I am joined by my right hand man, Josh Baller. And oh boy, do we have a bangering of a pootie cootie for you all tonight. That's right, a pootie cootie. We're covering Monday Night Raw for 428. So why don't we all just pop a squat, pop a can, and let's get into it.
Wait, I'm Finn Balor? Oh man, that means I'm getting booted out to Judgment
I'm
Day.
sorry, I said your name was Josh Baller.
I'm just saying, getting kicked out to Judgment Day.
Oh, you're separating yourself from the Judgment Day to pursue, um, you know,
Mediocrity.
bigger stuff. Good luck on your future endeavors.
Oh no, Bert. That's me dead.
Stop.
But you know what wasn't dead this episode of Raw? It was
No,
very,
no, no.
very not dead.
Pretty good.
It starts out knowing what we all were more curious about than anything. The winner of the actual main event of WrestleMania, Seth Rollins, makes his way to the ring, and he lets Kansas City know that they are welcome to Monday Night Rollins, and that he is a visionary revolutionary. He's Seth freaking Rollins. And he reminds us that he is the winner of the main event of WrestleMania, and he goes on to say that he understands how there might be some CM Punk fans, or maybe even some people that were Roman Reigns fans, but that right now you're looking at the future of the industry. The future runs through one man, and it isn't Punk, it isn't Reigns, it's not John Cena, it's not Jey Uso, and it's not Cody Rhodes. The future of the industry, with Paul Heyman to my left and Braun Breaker to my right, the future runs right through Seth freaking Rollins. And then he says, ladies and gentlemen, Sami Zayn, because I guess Sammy came out, and he says, welcome back, my man. You're out. You were out for such a long time. It's good to see you back here on Raw. I assume you caught Mania, right? And Sammy says, yep, I saw the main event of Mania. And how long have we been friends? Long time, right? I feel the need to come out here and, as a friend, someone who's known you for a very long time, tell you to your face that this is a load of crap, man. And Seth's like, wait, what? And Sammy goes on to say, you know, with all the time he spent talking about CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and the one thing those guys have in common happens to be standing over your shoulder now, and he points at Paul Heyman. How are you any different? He says, wait, you're not seriously comparing me to CM Punk and Roman Reigns. How can this not be different? Come on. And Sammy then goes on to say, for the longest time, I wanted to believe that you just had this deep anger, maybe this deep hatred for CM Punk, and you sounded so self-righteous talking about Roman Reigns. But now I'm starting to see that maybe you were just jealous. Maybe you just wanted to be in the position they were in. And Rollins says, look, I'm not CM Punk, I'm not Reigns. This is a vision for the future. You and me, we've gone back many, many years talking about what the future would look like. This is it. And Sammy says, oh, what a coincidence that the vision for the future of the WWE, the vision for the future of the industry for years to come, all revolves around Seth Rollins. And he says, it's not coincidence, I'm the best man for the job. And Sammy then goes on to say, well, that's my point, Seth. It's not coincidence, it's hypocritical. You spent all this time talking about bloodline this, bloodline that, and it's just like, stop comparing me to them. This is not the bloodline. And Sammy then says, well, how's it different? You got the wise men over there, and you got your barking dog over there, who, if he keeps looking at me like that, it's going to get his face kicked in. And then Seth has got to de escalate the situation that is bubbling up between Sammy and Braun Breaker. And he says, all right, everybody calm down. You know, what is this, Sammy? You came out here to be honest with me, so let me be honest with you. This is the vision of the future. You're either with us or you become a target, and that's not a threat. I don't want you to be a target, but this whole thing's bigger than us. It doesn't matter if I hate you, like Roman or Punk. It doesn't matter if I love you. If you stand in our way, you become a target, and I don't want that for you. So let's find a solution to this. Wise man can pull some strings. We can get you moved off of Monday Night Raw. You're clearly not buying into what we're selling. So maybe this is a way for you to cash out. So it's not a threat, it's an offer. It's an offer and a favor. So think about it. But we're going to need an answer by the end of the night. And that's how
No
we
pressure.
open Monday Night Raw. Yeah, no pressure, right? Take your time, think about it, but we need an answer in like the next 2 hours.
Yeah, no pressure, but hurry up.
So that is the offer. Either stay on Raw and become a casualty of the steamroller that is going to be Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker. Whether you're friend or foe, does not matter. You're either with them or against them. Or get shipped off to a Friday Night SmackDown where you'll be safely out of the way. And that's what Sammy has to think about. And thus we've established the through line story arc going for the rest of the show. But that leads us into a banger of an opening match. One
Oh, yeah.
Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. And
Yeah, surprisingly.
what
And
were
you know
your
what? It wasn't
thoughts?
surprising. It wasn't surprising. Um, it even though and I kind of knew that it was gonna be a situation where it would be a 2-on-1 with Rhea eventually. Because that was the kind of the theme that they started out with last week. Even though I knew that was gonna happen, for the most of the match, we had just Rhea and Roxanne looking good. I feel like I don't know if they're real good friends or something. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe they are, because Rhea has been in NXT um a couple of few times, pretty much doing the same thing, putting Roxanne or a number of other women on in NXT over. Um, and I think Roxanne is come over to. Has she come over to the main roster yet, or you think they're planning to
I
pull
think
them
they.
over?
I don't know if she's officially on the main roster yet or not, but she's
Okay,
been on it enough that I think her, like, for sure call up is around the corner.
okay.
Um,
Well, well, great showing. This match looked really good, and I think Rhea did a really good job of making Roxanne look good. I think they work really well together, I guess is what I'm ultimately saying. Um, uh, I can't remember the other girl's name that came in and interrupted. I don't I
Julia.
can't. Julie, thank you. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. Have I seen her in a
We
match?
don't watch a ton of NXT, so maybe not. But I believe she's the current women's champion.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm interested to see. Just to see what she does in the ring. I mean, because Roxanne, honestly, is a bit impressive. Um, I can see why they gave her the moniker of the Prodigy, I believe, is her nickname. Um,
Yep.
it's just kind of a
And a
little badass.
protege of Booker T. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, she's kind of a little badass. And if she's coming over to the main roster, I can't wait to see her in a couple of matches with a few women right off the top of the dome, like Becky Lynch. Um, Liv Morgan. Uh, if we ever see Alexa Bliss again, that'd be great. Um, don't know where she went, but anyway, I thought this match was a good one. And I thought it was also a very good opener. for Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw has just been hitting it out of the ballpark lately, as of late, and doing so through their women, which is fucking phenomenal. Like these ladies have been shining, man. They've been
Yeah.
shining. So yeah, that there is my opinion. Great
Well,
opener.
I think so too. Because I was sitting there thinking, no disrespect to Roxanne Perez, but I kind of thought Rhea Ripley was just going to eat her alive.
Yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised that this was more of a back and forth match. That said, Rhea Ripley did do some amazing shit in this match. Like she threw an outsider or a razor's edge that was fantastic on Perez.
yeah.
Um,
I remember us talking about it when we saw it because I don't think I've ever seen a woman in, or at least in the main roster of WWE, do uh an outsider's you know what I'm trying to say, a razor's
yeah,
edge
the
basically.
edge. Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
I've not seen that.
No, she's
And
borrowed it from Damien, and I love it.
she's a badass. I mean, you can clearly see why Rhea is in the position that she's in. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, and she's really added a lot of different, like a variety of kicks and drop kicks to her repertoire as well.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
fan.
Ripley is my favorite kind of a power wrestler, and she has the gun show to back it up. And she really gets to shine when she's in there, especially with somebody who is a fair bit smaller, like Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
But to her credit, Roxanne, how should I contrast this? Roxanne actually looked like she was holding her own versus, say, like if Ripley was in there with, oh, what's her name? Zelina Vega, who just won on SmackDown, who just won the Women's United States title.
Sure she
And
did.
like Zelina Vega's matches, like all her moves look like they absolutely require the assistance of her opponent. And only some of that is the case with Perez. Like we see smaller female wrestlers do stuff sometimes and they look great. Like another
Yeah.
good example would be Alexa Bliss. Like she looks fantastic when she's doing her stuff.
Yeah.
Um and so Perez was actually able to hang in there. And it looked pretty good. Ultimately, as you mentioned, Julia had to show up. And I misspoke earlier. I said she was the NXT champion. I'm sorry. The current NXT champion is, of course, Stephanie Vacour, who we will see later. Um, but she was the former NXT champion prior to Stephanie Vacour. So she is a former NXT champion. So she's no slouch. Um,
Right on.
And I kind of think, I think Roxanne has debuted on the main roster. I think what we're seeing is teases that, like, Julia and Stephanie Vacour are fixing to come up as well.
All right, let's go. I'm here for it.
Yep, expanding that women's roster. And I'm here for it because there's now more titles than ever on the women's roster. I know there was some upset that the women's United States Championship and the women's Intercontinental belts were not actually up for grabs at WrestleMania. But I do think there's a lot of opportunity to do something with those two titles, especially if they expand their women's roster from the ladies that have been killing it over in NXT.
Yeah.
Um, Julia, I'll have to watch more from, and Roxanne Perez is good, but the one that I've got my eye on is Stephanie Vacour. I'm really impressed with how she's performing.
Yeah, I can dig that. I don't. You know what? I like her look. I gotta see more. I think.
Which one, Vacour
Oh,
or Julia?
yeah. Stephanie.
Stephanie Vacour. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like her look too. I like that she comes out with the little demon horns, and something about her outfit. And I mentioned this, I think, when we saw her previously on Raw the last time. Something about her outfit reminds me of like Psylocke from the X-Men, and
Yeah.
it's really cool looking. Um, yeah, I'm watching with interest. I also really like. I know everybody is fawning over the Devil's Kiss or whatever they call that move, and it's a cool move. It's fun, right? But the thing she's doing that I'm impressed by is she'll run in with like a head scissors, and turns into that like spinning around your opponent that you often see with the
Yeah.
luchadors,
Mm-hmm.
and it will usually end in like a scissors, like a leg scissor head whip kind of thing, or maybe even a tornado DDT. But she's got it to where she can spin around and roll up in a schoolgirl pin, and she then does like a I think they call it like a Black Widow, back arch over the top of that pin. And the whole thing flows so great. It's a really cool signature that she's got going on,
I
and
do like that move. The
it's more.
Widows. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Please, please.
I was just gonna finish up by saying, and it more reflects her talent as a professional wrestler as opposed to the other move, which is more about her having her butt in the air.
Yeah, and I mean that one's cool. And I think I get why people are losing their shit about it. Uh, and I think I can only really understand why people are losing their shit about it if I put Naomi in that position. Like if Naomi is doing the widow's kiss, then I'm like, oh, okay, I fucking get it. Uh,
Right? It's
Stephanie,
it's it's a
yeah,
multiple cake slam.
yeah. Stephanie hit me like that, so um, I get it. Like I like her look; she's cool, and she that one move that you just talked about is fucking amazing. I've not seen it before, and I mean I think that's I guess it's one of the reasons why I'm like interested in seeing more from her. So they can keep her coming.
Yeah,
I'd be really interested. I think I would be really interested in seeing her in a match with Rhea Ripley.
I think so too. Especially since like Stephanie Vacour wasn't like a come up from NXT. She was already like a multiple champion in both New Japan and I think CMLL before she came to WWE.
Yeah.
So she already had like main event status. So I think they put her in NXT just to make sure, and now she's already getting her call up. She hasn't been there that long. So I'm here for it. I think she could definitely be one of the women that comes up and is a main event champion for
Oh
that
yeah.
roster.
Yep.
But finishing up with Ripley and Perez, the way the match ends up playing out is much like you say. It looks like Ripley is getting the one up on Roxy, and that's when Julia shows up. And initially, I want to say, what was it? I think Ripley like grabbed a hold of her hair, but then like over the top rope, she's grabbing a hold of Julia, and that's when Perez, I want to say, tries to roll her up for a schoolgirl pin again. And at that point, she turns her attention back to Roxy Perez, and Julia just straight up like decides that she doesn't care about disqualifying this match and jumps in and I want to say like chop blocked or something, Rhea Ripley to get the DQ. And after that, Julia and Roxy are just like ganging up, kicking the crap out of Rhea until Io Sky storms into the ring to make the save. And eventually, they win the numbers game against Io until Ripley rushes back into the ring, and they're like, "Nope!" And they both leave, and they walk. They're like looking back as they go up the. And so you've got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky both mean mugging them, and I mean, it's a tag match in the future that just writes itself, especially
Yep.
considering the tensions between Io and Ripley. But that's twice now that Rhea came out and helped Io against these two, and now Io's come out and helped Ripley against these two. So the only natural progression, obviously, is a tag match with Io and Ripley versus Julia and Roxy at
We'll
some
probably
point.
we'll probably see that next Monday.
Yeah, I would think so. And I'm here for it because I think
Oh
that could
fuck
actually
yeah.
be a really banger of a match. And I'm
Hmm.
curious to see how Rhea and Io navigate like their tensions from WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, so far, Rhea's been a bit respectful about it. Like when she came out last week, she picked up Io's belt and handed it to her, but she did tell her that she was coming for the belt. So it's not like they both don't know what it is, right? They both know what the deal is. Hopefully, Rhea can be not so hot headed. And focus on the enemies when the tag team inevitably comes.
And that's the hope. And I'll be honest, I'm cool with Rhea Ripley being an anti-hero. Like she's
Yeah.
just being heel enough to be
Hmm.
Smash Mouth.
Right.
But I much prefer the idea going forward that like her and Io will have like just like a match of respect, and then maybe Bianca flips out and she's like, and then maybe that's the heel turn, and then you've got proceed and bounce with caution, as the
Yeah.
new heel tag team.
For
Um,
CM cautionary
Bounce
bounce.
carefully, proceed with caution. Um, and that would be cool. I would be here for that too. But Rhea Ripley ends up with the victory by way of disqualification. And then we are taken back to the clubhouse du jour of the Judgment Day. And Finn Balor walks up on the group of them and meets up with JD McDonough. And he says, hey, I'm glad you're back, but I wish you would have let me know that you were coming back last week. And he says, yeah, sorry about that. I told Dom, and then I was cleared quicker than I thought I would be. And then Liv pops in and says, everything okay? Because she is totally a little goblin. And she says, after they say, yeah, everything's cool. She says, good, because we thought it would be a good idea for you and JD to get back into the tag championship picture. And so JD set up a match for you two to go against the War Raiders tonight. And Liv says that Finn should be happy because, he's the only one that's not a champion at the moment. Again, goblin, little goblin troll. And
The goblinest trolliest.
the goblin is trolliest.
Yeah.
And Finn says, no, that's all cool, but I would just like to be kept in the loop with big decisions going forward. And they're like, oh, yeah. Liv is,
Oh yeah.
yes, Liv. Yeah. And JD's like nodding. And I think at the very end of the segment, we see Carlito kind of come forward towards the camera and sort of say to himself, everybody else seems to be getting gold. Maybe Carlito should get a championship. That would be cool.
Please.
Yeah. Which then closes that segment and brings us to a segment with Logan Paul. And since your favorite guy is going to be in this segment, how about you run us through that one?
No problem. Logan Paul comes out to belittle the crowd for a few, like he does, and before that or after that, he turns his attention to Jey Uso, basically saying that he has not won a championship yet, or that championship yet, and he wants a shot at it. Jey Uso, of course, because say his name and he appears.
I believe in Jey Uso.
I hope you guys heard that clap. Anyway, Jey Uso comes out and gives us a very confident rebuttal to Logan Paul. Now, normally I don't read things verbatim, but I will tell you just a tad bit of what my man said. He comes out and basically says we're gonna silence this noise because he thinks after 15 years, me trying to make a name for myself, finally becoming world champion, that I would just hand this over to a punk ass YouTuber like Logan Paul. Stop. That makes the crowd lose their shit.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeet.
hey, then he says, "Hey, let me spit it. Let me get real with you for a minute. I watched Gunther beat my twin Oos to a bloody pulp, so it did something to me. It lit a fire inside of me that ain't ever going out. So look, this title is not given, it's earned, and it's mine. And if you want it, come take it. 4 letters, 1 word, yeet."
Yeet.
So that didn't sit well with Logan Paul. He continued to talk some more shit. He said he was going to take the title from Jay. And then after he did that, Jay was gonna do what he does best. He was gonna do what he always does, apparently, and that is crash out, screw up, and lose that title in less time than he's held the Intercontinental Championship. Now, that's kind of weird because if that's something that he always does, he's only had that belt once. But okay. Um. Anyway, he continued to bump gums until he turned around and met Jey Uso's foot. Um, he like,
which bumped his gums a lot worse.
yeah, yeah, oh, yes, indeed. So he super kicked his jaw into his forehead.
Yeah, I would suggest that Jey Uso was attempting to kick the influence off of Logan Paul.
Yeah, he kicked him back to the Japanese forest.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he punted him back to like 1K subscribers.
oh my god, yeah. And that closed that segment out. Jey Uso walked down the ramp, talking smack. There's a short glimpse of Logan Paul sitting in the ring, like, "Ooh, you dirty rant." And that was that. It was magical. It was magical, and I loved every minute of it.
And our buddy, our Oos, Jay, repeated 4 letters, 1 word.
Yeet.
Yeet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here for every bit of the yeet, man. I know
Yeah,
there's several people on the internet that think it's dumb. I think it's
I don't care.
fan fucking tastic. I will be right there, yeet.
Yeah,
It's great.
absolutely. I like if they don't like it, I don't care. Like that's all I have to say. I don't even know what else to say to that. Don't care. Don't care.
Well,
Like don't yeet then. It's cool.
that's very diplomatic of you. I, however, will say that they're wrong and should feel bad and go to the corner to think about what they've done.
Like I don't even have any
Go,
energy to give to them because I am Yeetamania right now.
they can go to the
I
CM Punk corner. Um,
yeah, yeah. What did am I insane in the membrane, or did people boo CM Punk?
when Seth was saying, I know there's some people that wanted to chant CM Punk's name,
Yeah,
and it was like crickets almost. Like there was like not very many of them, and we were both surprised by that. We were like, "Uh oh."
I could have sworn
And
I heard boos, man.
there might have been, but what I didn't hear was a CM Punk chant for like the first
Yeah,
time ever.
there was like a
Um,
maybe 1,000 people in that audience that got together and started chanting CM Punk.
if
Maybe
that.
500.
Yeah, because we noticed the stark difference because in the next line, Seth is saying, well, and I know that there are those who, love their tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and everybody's ones came up,
I
everyone's. And
I
we
mean,
noticed the decided difference. It was like almost no
yeah.
one said CM Punk's chant, but everybody put their ones in the air.
Yeah, I simply cannot betray my tribal chief. I'm sorry. Like that's like I am with Seth Rollins and I understand he has a tiff with our tribal chief, but I mean I try to stay out of that, try to stay diplomatic, but I cannot not put the one up. You know what I mean? Come on.
I do, because two things can be true at the same time. One, that
Yeah,
Seth is the architect and he has crafted a mastermind play here,
absolutely.
but also that Roman Reigns is greatness on another level.
Yes.
And I mean, it's both true, and I'm here for wherever that should end up, their
Yeah.
conflict meeting again.
Yep, yep. And also, I just want to say, I understand that Paul Heyman allegedly betrayed Roman Reigns. I get it, but it's almost like people are completely forgetting what Roman Reigns did. Listen, our tribal chief is a wonderful individual, but I have to say, in this particular situation with Paul Heyman, he may have gone a little overbounds. He may have you know what I mean? He may have been in his feels and
I
just
do.
upset about the situation instead of looking at the person. Because Paul Heyman has never been disloyal to Roman Reigns.
No, and that's a
So
fact.
Chief was
And
just ready for everyone to betray him. And listen, it's hard up there when you're on the top, right? Everybody's trying to stab you in the
it's
back.
Hey,
And maybe that's what he was thinking. But
heavy is the neck that wears the ulafala, and it's lonely on the island.
real talk.
Um,
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There's absolutely a case to be made that both Roman Reigns and CM Punk just saw Heyman as a pawn to be used,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he outplayed them, and now everyone wants to be mad about it.
Yeah. And
And is anyone surprised? Like, if there's anyone who's more of an architect in this industry than Seth Rollins, it's Paul Heyman. That dude is always playing like 60 chess in
always,
pro wrestling.
always, never not playing 6D chess.
Now, and the truth of the matter is that's what makes them both so dangerous. I mean, you
Yeah.
can look at Braun Breaker, but he is a young guy who happens to be a meat shield.
Yeah.
Without the excellent 4D chess capabilities of Paul Heyman and the master planning of the architect Seth Rollins, that only goes so far. With it, however, all three of those men become the most dangerous faction in the WWE, bar
Yeah.
none.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely agree. Well, shall I continue?
Please.
This leads us into our second match of the night, which is the Judgment Day, the match that we talked about or we found out about earlier, with Carlito, I guess, versus the War Raiders. Oh, and the New Day
Ugh.
and joined commentary. Yeah. Oh boy. But what did you think about this match though?
Well, the aforementioned should give you some idea.
Yeah.
Uh, this match just being the Judgment Day and the War Raiders would have been fine.
Hmm.
Um, the New Day really didn't add anything here. Like their commentary was not great. And I'm not saying that because they're the heel faction. I'm saying that because
No,
it
no, no.
didn't really offer much. It was more distracting than engaging from the match. Um, and that's a shame because usually they're much more creative. But I guess as heels, that's just not a thing yet.
Yeah,
Like
normally, yeah,
like
yeah,
Xavier was trying so hard to be a little edge lord, and he just wasn't succeeding, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I didn't particularly think they brought anything to it. Others may hear it and see it and disagree, and that's fine. But ugh.
yeah,
As far as the rest of the match, I thought it was fantastic. Because one, we got to see JD McDonough back, and I'm not gonna lie, I was worried after that bump he took. That shit looked serious,
yeah,
and if I know they don't always tell you honestly what the extent of a wrestler's injuries are for kayfabe.
yeah.
But it looked like it screwed up his neck and ribs pretty bad. So I was like, ooh, he's gonna be gone for a minute. So it's good that he's back, and he showed it out. He was throwing moonsaults all over the place. He was handing out moonsaults like a leprechaun might hand out little four-leaf clovers. Um, I mean, he was just dishing them to everybody. Everybody can catch this moonsault. And
Yeah,
so he was looking good. He was looking really good in the ring, and I was glad to see him back because, he's still relatively young in his career in the main roster.
yeah,
And he's actually kind of won me over. Like, I did not like him when he was coming from NXT because I didn't like his stupid character in NXT. JD, however, has kind of grown on me in the same fashion that Dominic Mysterio has kind of grown on
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, yeah,
And particularly because JD McDonough has been putting in that work. Like he takes and sells everybody's shit and like he does it like a champ.
yeah,
And so just his ability to work in that ring and show up for the spots that he's been given is put him over with me. So I was really thrilled that JD McDonough was back. And to continue on with that, there's a story being told here about events happening with the Judgment Day, kind of a meta narrative to the match that I was really interested in, especially as we get near the end. But I don't want to spoil it because you're going to give your impressions next, so I'll let you speak to it. But overall, I was pretty pleased with this match. Again, the New Day didn't bring anything to the table for me, but the Judgment Day and the War Raiders did.
yeah. New Day added nothing on commentary, and I guess when they become heels, like they lose the humor, I guess. Um, which
Hmm.
is unfortunate because you can be a funny heel. That is a thing, but whatever. Um, what are you gonna do? Maybe they just want to be taken more seriously. I don't know. Um, but they didn't add anything. I agree. They added nothing to the match or to commentary. But the match, however, the match itself was really good. It was really fun. Um, and man, JD looks phenomenal. I have to mention him because that was a really nasty bump that he took. So for him to come back and get in that ring like he was never injured, like you don't see an ounce of fear on him when he's still doing the same thing, and he's still doing it like he's never been injured, like his bones are made of adamantium, and he's ready to go. So that's really awesome to see. Um, excuse me.
Fully agree, by the way.
Yeah. Uh, the War Raiders always look good, of course. Um, and I don't know what they're planning to do with Carlito, but when he is out on the apron, he's been doing a couple of uh more powerhouse type moves. So uh maybe there's a story there. Maybe we're getting somewhere with that. With him, even with him saying maybe I should get a belt or something. If that's what he said, and I think it is because like he said it really low. But if that's the case, maybe they're gearing up for something. Maybe they're gearing up for like a surprise or something. Maybe he ends up somehow taking the belt from Dominic. I don't know, but I'd be interested to see what they do. Overall, though, without giving away the ending, since you're going to talk about what happens here, it was a great match. Of course, it ended up being interrupted, but still, it was a great match. Before that, and even after, like it was good because the story, like I think you said earlier, it's part of the story, and worth it. Good.
Indeed. And just to kind of give more details on this match, it's Finn and McDonough versus Eric and Ivar. And, Finn and McDonough are trying to use aerials and quickness versus the, brick walls that are Eric and Ivar in their power game. And so you got to see a lot of, speed from Finn, aerials from McDonough. Like I said, he was tossing out moonsaults like crazy. And of course, Ivar and Eric slamming the snot out of both of them whenever they got the chance. And then as we're heading into the latter part of this match, nearing the finish, Carlito steps up onto the apron. And it's Eric and McDonough that are the legal competitors. And Eric punches Carlito, but with his back turned to McDonough, McDonough rolls him up, but only gets a 2 count. And so then Eric goes to reach for McDonough, and McDonough counters with a sit-out jawbreaker, which sets him up for McDonough to do some sort of aerial move. So McDonough climbs to the nearest turnbuckle. It's at that point that Carlito, who's been laying on the apron, rolls an apple into the ring that distracts the referee. And I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be to the Judgment Day's benefit. But it wasn't. It actually sets up Penta not being seen shoving McDonough off the top rope back into the ring. And that's when Eric tags in Ivar, and it allows the War Raiders to connect with War Machine to pick up the victory. So what was intended to look like an accident on Carlito's part actually looked straightforwardly, to me anyway, like Carlito just helped Penta get McDonough destroyed. So yeah. I'm of the mind that the Judgment Day are going to oust Finn Balor. Potentially also JD McDonough. But I don't know for sure about McDonough. I feel much more confident for certain about Finn. Because Carlito's apple roll didn't seem coincidental, and it was perfect. It was too perfect timing for Penta to shove McDonough off the top rope and cost Finn and McDonough, this match on their path to getting towards the tag championships. And so the War Raiders, of course, get the win. And that's kind of my theory on where things might be heading with the Judgment Day, and I find it intriguing because if it turns out, it looked to me like Carlito was working with Penta, And so I think I suggested during this episode, shortly after this match, what if Dom, and I don't know where Liv and Raquel fit into this picture just yet, but what if Dom and Carlito team up with the Lucha Bros somehow and form their own superior Latino world order just to piss Ray off?
That would be amazing.
And it's Dom and Carlito and the Lucha Bros. And that gives an opportunity for Carlito to actually like show up and wrestle instead of just standing around saying that's cool and spit apples, you know?
Yeah.
Um so between that and Carlito, kind of cryptically saying maybe I should get a title, that'd be cool. It makes me wonder if that's not a direction they might be considering going. At the very bare minimum, we're looking at Finn and potentially McDonough, who is Finn's friend, getting ejected from the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There could be more to it because it kind of looked like Carlito and Penta were helping each other out in that match.
Yeah.
I know they
Yep.
wanted
Yep.
it to be. I know Carlito will spin it that like, oh man, it was an accident. The apple, I got knocked down and the apple rolled out of my pocket. I couldn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it really looked like Carlito set that up for Penta to sabotage McDonough and Finn's chances, at getting anywhere near gold. Like, I think for sure the idea that everyone else in Judgment Day is going to have gold and Finn won't is definitely a direction they're going. Now, ultimately, I think that leads to ejecting Finn, but who can say? But I think the writing is there on the wall, so to speak. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
reading between the lines. So those are my
Yeah.
thoughts. What
I
are you
agree.
thinking? You agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but we've said for a while now that we think that Finn Balor is about to be it's about to go back to a singles run. And I don't know if that means they're about to give him a push or what, but I do see a split coming. And I mean, like you said, the writing is definitely on the wall. Like it's on the wall, it's on the floor, it's on the windows, it's on the front porch. It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
And now he's being excluded from decisions and from
Yeah,
information.
exactly.
It,
Yep.
it's coming. It's coming.
And see, I'm not 100% sure. Where do you think that leaves JD McDonough? Does he stay in Judgment Day, or does he get ousted and both him and Finn run singles careers at this point? Or what do
That
you think there?
that I don't know because I know that they're good friends and in fact the reason that JD's even in the Judgment Day is because of Finn. But I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Like right now, he seems like he doesn't know what's going on, and maybe that is the case. Like he just came back, and he's back to the usual, the reg for him. He doesn't seem like he's plotting or working on anything. In fact, after Finn walked off, he talked to Liv and was like, I think he gave her some like he said something like, um you have to tell Finn when something. Basically, he did some kind of correcting um of her behavior when it came to the situation. So he seems to be uh still on the side of the Judgment Day in general. Like a neutral party, not for Finn. But I kind of feel like if it came down to it, he might side with Finn. I don't know if that means he would go and be a tag team partner with him, but he might also leave Judgment Day. I mean, the Judgment Day just might be disbanded.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's either that, but there's also a cool like the drama, right? Like you think of the most dramatic thing, and that probably is a good idea of where they would go. And I think it would be very dramatic if it was something like, well, and Liv were constantly talking to me while I was injured. I didn't hear a peep out of you, Finn. So, and,
Oh Lord.
JD joins him in stabbing him in the back. So, like, all of Judgment Day, including his buddy JD, turn on Finn, and Finn just gets ejected.
Oh my. Yeah, that'd
That
be
would
intense.
That'd be maximum drama. So
Yeah.
I'm inclined to think that's probably the way they're going.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
Yep, me too. Um, Following that match, we are taken into the locker room where Sami Zayn is having a conversation with Otis, at least until Paul Heyman shows up and more or less tells Otis to hit the bricks. And Heyman reminds Zayn that they both are part of the OG bloodline. And Sammy reminds Heyman that he probably blew up whatever was left of the bloodline at WrestleMania. And Heyman says he's got a lot of respect for Sammy when he broke away from the bloodline a couple years ago for his reasons. And so maybe he'll hopefully be able to understand someday that the wise man has his own reasons for doing the same. Which I think is a fair point. Like Sami Zayn got sick of Roman shit and hit him with a chair.
Yep.
And so I don't see how that's altogether different than what Heyman did. So that's a fair point. But then Heyman says he didn't come here to talk about the bloodline. He says, as you know, Seth Rollins views himself as the vanguard of the future of the industry, and Braun is demanding a match with you, Sammy. Heyman and Seth can't say no to that because Braun is the key to their future plans. Seth holds Sammy in much high regard. And Heyman says, Sammy, if you agree to be traded to SmackDown starting this Friday, everybody wins. Heyman then indicates that he's spoken with both Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. And they can make that happen. And he tells Sammy, Seth is willing to do this favor for you. If you accept this offer upon your entry to the SmackDown roster, Sammy will become the number one contender for whoever wins in the John Cena Randy Orton match at Backlash. And so that is an offer to both go to SmackDown and then immediately enter into the undisputed title picture. Something that we know Sammy has wanted for a while. He's wanted to be a world champion. He's been saying that for months, if not longer. And so Heyman tells Sammy, and that was my brain putting Heyman and Sammy into one word. Hemi. What? No. Anyway, he tells Sammy to think about the future of his family and that Sammy can live in the future or die in the past. So just think about it. And that's where that segment ends, reminding us that Sammy has got a big decision. Seth Rollins wants his soul. Wants him to go to SmackDown. And then what?
His promos are much, much better.
Way orders of magnitude. I was just thinking, the last time we had somebody that had a big decision to make, it was that, right?
Yeah.
But that brings us into the next
Becky
segment.
Lynch. Yep. Becky Lynch,
where the man has come to Kansas City,
and Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah. Would you like to speak to that one?
Certainly. So Becky comes out, and I'm pretty sure that we all knew what she was gonna say. I think you even cut the promo. You cut the promo for her. Well, actually, surprise, surprise. She came out to say that she was the one who attacked Bayley.
What?
There was no need to investigate for months. There was no video footage of anybody else leaving. That was she just fucking beat Becky up.
Oh man. Throwing shade at Jade Cargill's storyline from 2024.
Yeah, she did. And she did so. She attacked my goodness. Bayley, thank you. I was about to call her Belair. I was about to call her Bianca. She attacked Bayley, and that's why Bayley wasn't in the match at WrestleMania. But she attacked her because she's been fighting with her for years. I think she said since 2017. Is that what she said? 2019.
2019, because it was in 2019 that Bayley came back and formed Damage Control, and it was Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair that were in the title picture at that time. And the tensions that we've seen with Bianca Belair and Damage Control. she's here addressing the tensions between herself and Damage Control.
Yeah. So, um, and then she had high hopes for Lyra, but then she like basically Lyra was talking to Bailey, partnering up with her for WrestleMania, buddying up, and Becky was having none of that. So she basically whooped Bailey's ass, got into WrestleMania, but then she also went after Lyra because of her friendship with Bailey. It was bullshit as far as the man was concerned. Um, Lyra comes out and basically goes on a tirade about she doesn't want to be the next Becky Lynch anymore. Basically just dressing Becky down. Um, oh, and she also said, because Becky said that she had high hopes for Lyra. Lyra's like, you had high hopes for me. Uh, do you know how many women in that locker room warned me about you? And she pointed out that Becca's like, oh yeah, I bet they did. And
Yeah.
Lyra said that Bailey was one of the first, and Becca's like, oh, of course she was. Um, and Lyra says that Bailey said that uh, Becky would step on anyone's throat if it meant getting ahead, and Lyra didn't believe it. She wasn't buying it. Essentially, excuse me. Essentially, she wants to have another fight with Becky, and no who one of them said, I'm trying to remember which one brought up having the match at what is, I want to call it Bad Blood so bad.
Backlash.
I want to call
It,
it Bad Blood so bad.
Lyra basically said she wants to fight right here and now. And Becky was like, oh,
Yes.
hell no. The man only fights when it matters, and it sure as hell doesn't matter in Kansas City. And so
Yes.
Lyra says, well, I should have seen that coming. Well, how about Backlash? And I bet you won't do it unless I put the title on the line. So it was Lyra who brought it up.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, and of course, Becky took that. But she took the opportunity to let her know that she was gonna take that title and make it matter. Like she made Lyra matter. And she was about to say "Welcome to the big time," but Lyra basically told her to shut up. She's like, "Shut the hell up, Becky," because you never made me matter. I made me matter because I'm no longer interested in being the next Becky Lynch. I'm Lyra, and I'm going to be a better person than you. And I already know that I'm a better wrestler than you. So that Becky was like, "Oh hell no!" She was,
Yeah, that lit Becky's hair on fire. She was pissed.
yeah, she was pissed about that. It ends though with Lyra clocking Becky with the wrecking ball drop kick. Um, I think she rolls Becky back into the ring. Uh, and then just basically gets her on the ground and you know ground and pound, just
Gives her
punching
them
her.
beatings.
Yeah, Becky rolls out of the ring like hell no. Um, but
Lyra's fists, made for a woman, but strong enough for a man.
rated E for everybody. Um, but as Lyra was making her way down the ramp, Becky appeared like a thief in the night and attacked her from behind. So she
Yeah.
got her she got her revenge immediately.
Yeah, she circled back around and knocked her down, and then she talked all kinds of shit as she left the arena.
Yeah, and that closed that little segment out.
Indeed. And I'm here for it.
Yep.
Lyra Becky at Backslash should be pretty good. Um,
Backlash.
I, I look forward to seeing Lyra continuing to defend that belt since, there was some heat on those belts not being defended at WrestleMania. It's good that at least one of those titles so far is going to be represented
Yeah.
at the upcoming PLE.
Yep.
Um, And of course, a returning Becky Lynch. I'm curious to see more of her in-ring performances. I have to say, her manhandle slam since she's been back has been looking great.
Yep, I agree. And
So,
yeah, personally, Lyra and Becky, I'm here to watch their match, to watch their DoorDash. Their match at DoorDash.
at DoorDash, yes.
Yeah.
WWE DoorDash. You're gonna get taken out.
Their match
Um,
at Backsplash.
Backsplash. That's a whole different thing. Um, but after that segment, we are shown in the back of the arena, backstage, that Penta seems stressed out about something, and Nick Aldis shows up and he says, "Hey, tranquilo," which is like the only Spanish like 90% of anybody knows, but they always say it to the luchadors, like because saying "calm down" or "chill out," they're like, "Oh, it doesn't compute." Tranquilo. Oh, okay, got it. Um,
Yeah.
and he goes on to say that he understands that Penta wants payback. The good news is that Penta will get it against JD McDonough next week, and that seems to calm Penta down. He's like, yeah. And that would have been cool, but then Chad Gable shows up with the trolliest of troll expressions on his face while wearing a shirt that says El Grande Americano is the best. And he says he always enjoys speaking to yet another luchador on decline. And he pokes fun at the fact that Penta dropped the ball in his Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania. And he also points out that his favorite part was Rey Fenix losing to El Grande Americano at WrestleMania. And he says, is it zero miedo or zero comebacks? Because Penta's not responding; he's just seething. And then he just kicks Gable in the face. Penta does, and he proceeds to call him a pendejo. And then he says a couple other things and calls him a pendejo again. And I loved it. It was fantastic. He
Yep.
also did the zero miedo taunt right in his face,
Right in his dumb little face.
right in his dumb trolly Chad face. And that was excellent.
Yeah, it was a good. Yeah, I also like I like this I can't remember what he said, but he did say Bendejo a lot. But he said something about like not coming for his family or something like that. I don't know. Like you can't don't say nothing. Don't say nothing about Penta's family. That's all I know. Anywhere in any promotion, don't do it.
Yeah, I think he said something about the Lucha Bros, but
Yes.
I didn't catch all of it, unfortunately. But it was good. It was real good, and I am here for any version of like El Grande Americano versus Penta or Ray. That's
Yeah.
going to be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be insane. Let's go.
Indeed. And following that, we are taken to a video promo of the returning Rusev.
Oh boy.
And based on this promo, because he mentions, back in the day, he was naive, he was lost, he was fighting for a woman, and then he was later, fighting to try and redeem himself. And he realized that he's no longer willing to fight for a woman that was never his or a flag that never was either. He had an epiphany and he was finally freed to crush people, not because he was compelled to do so by some higher calling, but because he wanted to. He also talked about how he fell into an abyss and was redeemed. A wonderful
Lord.
little reference to his little, as the Redeemer in AEW. And I'm not sure what this guy is now. I'm not sure what his character is like. Like, is he still kind of the Redeemer or something else? We'll find out because he says he's going to use his hands and jacked body for good. He will haunt the flawed, the arrogant, and those who waste their talents like he used to do. and through their pain, he will perfect them. So I guess he's going to like put them through the forge of suffering to make them better, to purify them.
or
And he
something.
says, "My brothers, your lack of suffering ends now. So there'll be no lack of suffering. He's going to bring that pain." He says, "I'm the tempest rolling in," and I was like, "Jade Cargill." Um, and he finishes with, "I will hunt you, forgive you, and fix you, like I fixed myself. But
My
choose your
God.
next steps wisely, because for a righteous man it will be no hardship to save you, but ending you will also be no loss." So I
Uh,
can't tell if he's some sort of like fallen paladin or something. I like,
I don't know. Honestly, it's the same character that he played in AEW. Like to me,
yeah, it seems like the Redeemer just
yeah,
over here now.
yeah. And that
So,
was confusing and incoherent there, and I don't see it changing here. So
right, long story short, it sounds like Rusev intends to beat everyone's asses for their own good.
yeah, he'll
Kinda.
be helping them out when he whips that ass.
Right. Like this will hurt you way more than it hurts me, but it's for your own good. Um but as long as he continues to use his hands and jacked body to put on good matches,
Oh
I'll be
God,
here for it.
please. Yeah,
Hey, his words.
I know, I know.
But that brings us to our third match of the night. Would you like to speak to this one?
Sure, it will be brief. Um, this was a match to show off Stephanie Vacure, 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 Vacure,
It looks
Vacure,
like Vaquer to me, or
Vacure,
Vacur.
Vacure.
Um, because it reminds me of how the word liqueur is kind of spelled, but
Yeah,
they say Vaquer, so I
yeah.
guess
Well,
it's
they're
like
wrong.
AIR instead of UER.
No, I don't like that. It's Vacure. Um, yeah, that's what we're gonna say. This is really just I guess a display, like an exhibition match for Stephanie. Um, just to make her look, you know, extra better, extra good, and I'm okay with that. She does. I kind of wish they'd give Ivy a push eventually. I mean, if we're out here handing belts to Zelina Vega, then I think. I mean, I'm being serious. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds funny, but seriously, Zelina Vega has done nothing. I know, guys. I know. But she ain't done nothing to get that belt. Nothing. No, no, no. I'm sorry. Sorry. I feel like Ivy now is a much better competitor than Zelina. They should be giving her a belt just randomly. I almost feel like Zelina Vega getting that belt was in Alistair's contract. Like, just part of the deal. Like, anyway, I'm getting off topic. Uh try to get back to the topic here. Stephanie and Ivy gave us a little bit of a little mini banger. And whilst I did not expect Ivy now to win, I did expect for her to make her opponent look good because she really does when she's in the ring with other female competitors. Um, she did so here. As Stephanie looked great. She looks like a really great acquisition from WWE. They it's really just a show off to like, yeah, look, we made the right decision, and yeah, I feel like they did. Um, overall, good match.
I am inclined to agree on almost all counts, honestly, including like it kills me that Ivy Nile seems to be just there to take an L.
Yeah,
But she's part of Chad Gable's American Made stable, and it kills me the same way to watch Chad take L's. It kills me the same way to watch the Creed brothers take L's, because all of those individuals I think are really, really talented. But somebody's got to take the L, and at least Nile and Vaquer put on a fucking banger. Just to hit some high spots. Of course, I mentioned earlier that Vaquer, Steffi V. She nailed the Devil's Kiss twice, and the crowd lost their shit. Like that is the favorite move for all of them that she does. But I was also particularly fond of when she hit a fantastic looking superplex on Ivy Nile. And she also did out of the corner, she had like Nile's legs both bridged up. Like Ivy Nile's back is in the corner and her legs are both extended to either the two middle ropes. And then she grabbed one of them and did a dragon screw leg whip. I mean, it literally
Yeah.
looks like that is tearing her leg off. It is crazy that dragon screw. And then, of course, the move that we mentioned earlier, where she sort of, comes off the ropes and hits what looks like a uh, like leg whip, but then she spins around and ends up, doing a schoolgirl into a bridge, and the whole thing flowed real smooth and it looked real pretty. And it shows off like a decent amount of luchador technical skill from the, Chilean. Uh, there was also a couple of nice moves that Nile got off. There was a beautiful bridging German suplex that she pulled off that just looked great. And her finish, where she's trying to use that swinging Uranagi,
Mm-hmm.
that we would often say, like when she first started, she was doing it like as a vertical suplex. But the problem was that it looks almost like somebody's countering that vertical suplex into a DDT against
Yeah.
Ivy Nile. So we're like, oh wait, no, that was Nile's move. Now she's doing it as sort of a swinging Uranagi from like a side slam position, and it's looking better. It doesn't look
Yeah.
questionably like,
Yeah.
this is a move that her opponent countered. Um, but ultimately, after having a heck of a match, and fortunately, there was only mild interference in this. There was a point where Stephanie Vakur went for a pin on Ivy Nile, and it was very close to the ropes. So Chad Gable puts her foot on the ropes. Well, this pisses off Stephanie Vakur, who steps out and gets in Chad's face. Like, the balls on this lady.
Yeah.
But that allowed Nile to basically body her from behind and, kind of take control for a little bit after that. But ultimately, Vakur gets it back. And when all is said and done, Vakur connects with the SVB, which I'm assuming is like the most creatively named finisher, because I think it's just the Stephanie Vakur breaker or maybe the Stephanie Vakur bomb. It's one of those two, which is a package pile driver position taken into a backbreaker. And it looks cool. And Vakur picks up the victory. Just straightforwardly wins against Ivy Nile. And fantastic match. I mean, it really was good. I agree with you. I'd love to see Ivy Nile catching some W's, but this was a great match. Ivy Nile had a good showing. Stephanie Vakur had a great showing. Um, not much more to say about it than that. It was good.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Now, after that,
Mhm.
uh, we go backstage where Nick Aldis is having a conversation with AJ Styles. And Nick says that Pierce is lining up potential opportunities for AJ. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. He was
Yeah,
lining up
that's
for AJ, but then Liv Morgan walks in to the office with Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez, and she's requesting some time off because she's about to start shooting a major movie next week. Dom also requests time off because he's a champion and he can do whatever he wants. But Nick
I
denies
do what
Dom's
I
request
want.
exactly, and reminds him that the workload doubles when you're a champion. Dom wonders if AJ is planning to go into a retirement home like his deadbeat dad, and AJ was near seconds away from punching Dom in the face, but Liv had to step in and protect her daddy Dom.
Oh,
Yes.
whew. I had to work hard to keep my lunch on that one. I like Dom, but I can't stand Liv calling him Daddy Dom.
Oh God, please.
Oh, it probably would be a good idea because I don't think it got mentioned earlier. For anybody who's been listening, wondering why we're talking about Nick Aldis on Raw, it's because earlier in the evening, Nick Aldis stepped in
Mm.
because Adam Pearce was sick, unavailable, injured. I'm not sure, but that's why Nick was saying that Pierce is lining up potential opponents for AJ because
Yeah.
Nick is only the substitute general manager this week.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But then,
And let's see. Well, after that, yeah, Sami Zayn runs into Karrion Kross, and Karrion Kross tells him that he has a really big decision tonight, and he hopes he makes the right one. And then he walked away after Troll facing him, and then
man,
off stage.
it occurs to me, it kind of dawned on me that between Liv Morgan and Karrion Kross and some of the other folks that have been trolling McTrollface like Chad Gable, there's a lot of trolls. Are there enough bridges for all these trolls that are on Raw?
Nope. Hopefully they'll be building them. Get to build them over the weekend.
They're gonna have to. Otherwise, there's gonna be like a death match to determine who gets to be the troll, like the troll queen or the troll king.
The ultimate troll. Yeah.
Man, that's a
Troll
tough call.
Olympics.
I'm leaning towards Karrion Kross, but I don't know. Liv Morgan might be able to beat him in a match.
Yeah, probably. Because Karrion is apparently all talk or some shit. I don't know. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say this. I adore Karrion Kross's character work and the work shoot promo that he cut after WrestleMania. Amazing. Now I just need to see him destroy people in the ring. That is the component that is missing. Is that he's got a cool character. He talks a lot of shit. Now you need to actually back it up by killing people in a ring.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. We aren't asking for much. Just murder. No.
I mean, he's acting like a vampire. Where's the blood? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I could not agree more. After this, we are led into a Pat McAfee and Nick Aldis segment. Would you like to tell us about this?
I would, because I was ridiculously caught off guard by Pat McAfee suddenly cutting like a better promo than The Rock or John Cena or Triple H or anybody else in all of WWE.
All right, lay it on us.
I know he is a man who makes his living as an announcer, but it is still very surprising for him to suddenly become the best promo guy in all of WWE. Having said that, I will recount this man's words. He grabs hold of the microphone instead of his headset and stands up on the table and turns his attention to address the televised audience and the people here in Kansas City. And he says, "It is my honor to get a chance to chat in the home of the Chiefs. This place is glorious, and it's the right place for me to deliver this message. I think there's a lot of people that have forgotten who the hell I am. I've had such a successful career on the microphone, I think I've even forgotten who the hell I am. This past week has made me look in the mirror and realize some things, that I'm still the same dog that was born in the East Hills of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a truck driver that was trying to go paycheck to paycheck. I'm a man that was not handed a lot in his life. I'm a man that was lucky to be blessed with great friends. I'm a man that went from being an irrelevant bum to a human that is known in basically every city in this country. I don't have more talent than anybody. I'm definitely not better looking than most folks, but I happen to have a few things that I hope people will remember me by when the time has come to pass. When I die and I'm 6 feet under the dirt, I hope they say that that guy was an incredibly hard worker. He worked his ass off, not only for himself, but for his friends, for his family, and for his community. I hope they say he was an empathetic man. Whenever he received a lot, he gave back a lot, gave millions, and then he let the crowd finish, and millions of dollars to his community, to gyms, to children's hospitals all across the country, to military foundations, homeless shelters, LGBTQ communities, and public school foundations in the underprivileged communities and societies. I hope they say when I die that I gave back and I left the world a better place than whenever I came into it. And last but not least, when I'm dead and gone, they will say that was a loyal motherfucker. And he straight said motherfucker. I think Netflix was a little slow on the censor machine with Pat. They weren't ready for this.
Yeah,
And he says,
they were not ready.
no. And he continues to say, you must ride for those that ride for you. If one go, they all go. You're either with me or against me. And there's one man that's been with me since the day I met him, and he just happens to be the greatest of all time, Michael Cole. To Michael Cole, I will be loyal until I'm in the soil, and if somebody wants something with him, they got something with me. So last week, when that Australian asshole put his hands on the goat, I had no other option but to protect my boy. It was deep in my soul, it was deep in my blood. And after it happened, obviously, I get attacked from behind. I see myself choked out all over the internet, all over television. I had my friends and family say, I don't think he should be doing that to Gunther. He's in his prime, he's the former world heavyweight champion. I said, fuck that. If I die, I die. You got a problem with Cole, you got a problem with me, Gunther. SmackDown's version of Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, come on out here. And at that point, Nick Aldis steps out and he says, Mr. McAfee, I know Adam Pearce's management style tends to be letting chaos reign supreme on Monday nights, but I'm in charge tonight and I do things a bit differently. And you and I know that this is neither the time nor the place for this discussion, but since you called me out, here I am. So please keep it professional, Pat. I think that was his nice way of saying quit cursing on the air.
Please.
Please. It's a fine every time. And so Pat says, I know you're just a middle manager like Pierce, and Pierce, we miss you. But I know that you have the power on this particular program this evening to make some things happen. I don't like that Adam Pearce suspended Gunter. I don't like that Gunter isn't here. I want you to lift Gunter's band, and I want to fight Gunter ASAP. And Nick says, well, I had a feeling you might ask for that. That's why I already discussed it with Pierce. As far as lifting the suspension on Gunter so that you can get his hands on him whenever you want, the answer is no. You two are far too valuable of assets to the company, and I can't take that risk. However, speaking of value to the company, I do have an alternative. We can lift the suspension on Gunter, and you can get your hands on him in a sanctioned contest in a WWE ring. Pat, what I'm proposing is this. Pat McAfee versus the ring general Gunter, one-on-one at Backlash. And Pat says, me, Gunter, St. Louis, Backlash, deal. And the crowd is losing their absolute shit. And Pat McAfee sits back down and sort of looks, gives us a look of like, oh crap, what have I done? But that was
Immediately.
amazing. That was an amazing promo in a world where The Rock is cutting promos that make us wish he would go the hell back to Hollywood, and where Cena is giving us mopey McMopeystein crap promos too. It takes Pat McAfee to give us the promo we knew we needed and wanted.
Yeah.
And just like that, Pat McAfee and Gunter is one of the major matches I'm interested in seeing at Backlash. Well done.
Well done indeed. Yeah. He looked amazing. He talking his shit. And Pat McAfee does a great job of talking his shit.
I mean, Gunter, be careful. The last guy that he truly buried on the mic, bum-ass Corbin, a year later ain't employed with the WWE, so tread carefully, ring general.
Yeah. I mean, I could not agree more. Excuse me. After that segment, we get a John Cena and Randy Orton video package, which, in all honesty, is all they needed to do to keep the momentum going for this match. Putting Randy Orton on the mic last Friday, not good, not good.
No.
But I mean, Randy Orton has never been a powerhouse on the mic. So I don't know what they were planning on doing. I mean, that was like a 20-minute long segment there. I don't know what they were expecting Randy Orton to do. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. After that,
Yeah, Randy could get by if the only promos he ever cut ever were roses are red, violets are blue, here's an RKO from me to you, and then he RKOs somebody. That's it. We're good.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Um, After that, we see backstage that Sami Zayn has caught up with Jey Uso, or vice versa. And Jey Uso tells him, what's up, my brother from another mother. Lets him know that he's got some big decisions, and ultimately, Jay knows that the decision that he makes, it'll be what's best for Sammy. Sammy gives Jay a big old hug and heads back towards the arena. And the camera kind of stays on Jay for a little bit. And I like, come on now, we all knew. Like, I'm like, why is the camera still on him? What's going on? Well, that's because Logan Paul came flying off camera with a punch, his titanium punch,
The
um,
titanium punch.
to Jay, and Jay's out on the ground, and Logan says, "That's karma, Oos, yeet," and
And then walks away.
then walks
Again,
away.
there are so many trolls on Raw.
So many. Chock a block full of trolls.
Cock o block full. But that brings us to the long awaited Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn segment of the night, where we need the decision from Samuel. Old Samenstein Zayn. And so Seth Rollins comes out and he's on the mic. We catch him in the middle of the ring with the mic. And he says, "We're here. It's nearly the end of the night. So Sami Zayn, I would love for you to come out here. Let's talk this out, my friend. Before we get to the decision, I know you've had all night to think about it, but I thought about it a lot since earlier. Just hear me out. You're putting me in a very, very difficult position. You're putting me in a tough spot because we go back a long way, and for the life of me, I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. And I get it. You don't like Braun. You don't like Heyman. But this is me who we're talking about. 20 years of friendship. Last week, I watched you come back to Raw. You celebrated in the center of this very ring with Jey Uso because you guys are friends. And when you came out here tonight, I thought you were going to give me some of that same respect. Now, I know you don't agree with it, but me, Braun, and Heyman, that's the way forward. I believe it with my whole heart. It's the best vision of the future for the WWE, and trust me, I wish I had somebody else to believe in, but there's nobody better to lead us into that future than myself. And the fact that you don't believe in me, that hurts. But you see, this is business. It tears relationships apart. It tears friendships apart. We've both been on either side of those things. And, after everything that's been said and done, how many true friends can you even count? Less than 5. But for me, you were one of those true friends. When my baby girl was born, and he goes on to talk about how, like, Sammy was the first person he called and how they're that level of friends. And, Sammy goes on to say, "Look, if I hurt your feelings as a friend, I'm sorry. Everything you're saying is true. Our friendship does, in fact, go beyond this business. We're real good friends. Outside of that ring, that's true. Inside the ring, I think you're playing games. And you're good, Seth. You're very good. You've always been good. I've never been good with that stuff, but you're very good at it. And that's why you're in the position that you're in. Because of how close we are, you know exactly what card to play because I've confided in you over the years. I've told you how much the one thing that's eluded me my whole career nags at me, and that is to become a world champion. And now you're dangling it in the air in front of me. That's what you're doing. So, friend or not, for as long as you've known me, Seth, have you ever known me to run away? You talk about hurt feelings. I'm not going to stand here while my friend threatens me. Because make no mistake, what you're doing right now is threatening me. You're saying, if I don't acquiesce, if I don't submit to your vision, then I become a target. But guess what? I've been a target thousands of times before. I can live with that. But what I can't live with is being blackmailed, blackballed, extorted, strong-armed, and I will not be threatened. I will win a WWE World Championship, and when I do it, it'll not be because of any favors from anyone. It'll be because I did it my way, the right way. So, buddy, as a friend, I respect you and I love you, but this is me telling you right here and now to go to hell. And that just, yeah, mic drop. And that immediately cues up Braun Breaker's music, and we see Seth kind of shaking his head like, it didn't have to be this way. And when we kind of come back from commercial break, we are shown that, in fact, Breaker and Zayn are the 4th match of the night. And before I get into that, what were your thoughts on this particular match?
I thought excuse me. I know that I've seen Sammy and Breaker go at it before. Um, but there's something they're trying to do with Breaker in his movements where they're trying to make it a little bit more methodical, I guess. With what he does. So like he does like one finisher or one powerful move and then does another one right afterwards. Um which just makes the audience go, "Oh, oh," yeah.
Yeah,
Um I like where they're going with him. I like the dynamic. I even really enjoy the dynamic between Seth and Breaker. And this match itself, I'm about to say Cena, Jesus Christ, Sami Zayn, and Breaker look really good together. Um, I know I say that a lot about a lot of wrestlers, but for me, it's kind of a big deal because if they aren't meshing well, then the match ain't gonna look good. The moves are gonna look weird. The timing's gonna be off. That was not the case with these guys, so that's why I mentioned that. Um, and Breaker is just looking consistently better and better in the ring. His spears aren't gimmicks, man. They are life changers.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
yeah, so it's good. Zayn looks good considering he hasn't been in the ring for a little bit. On top of that, he was supposed to be like his neck was broken in 18 spots or some shit. Nobody's talking about that though. He just cruises on back to the. You notice that like there hasn't been any like welcome back type stuff, nothing. He just kind of showed up again and he's back to work and everybody's like quiet as a mouse about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm also glad that it's not like his new identity is the guy whose neck was hurt, like because they do that to everybody else.
true.
Like
That's true.
if it were let's see, the Beast Brock Lesnar were to come back, we'd hear about how he was nearly killed by diverticulitis. If it's Edge, it's how his neck was broken. If it's Randy Orton, it's his lower back, and like they can really harp on that shit like really hard. So I'm kind of glad that's not where they're approaching from with Zayn.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, overall, I thought this match was really good. Um, and I felt like even though Sammy is the face and the good guy in this match, this was a match that I felt Braun Breaker had to win. He was representing this newly put together faction, of sorts, and he needed to be the Shelton Benjamin of the group. Uh, and I think he
Yeah,
did that. I think he did a great. Like honestly, this was just another match to have your one of your superstars shine, and I think Breaker did just that. It almost felt brief, but it was so good. His moves are so good that the audience just kept yelling one more time. He's literally destroying Sami Zayn. People don't see that.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, one more time, one more time. Yeah, fucking awesome.
yeah. Bloodthirsty folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This was a pretty good match though between the two of them. I would say it was like 60-40 in favor of Breaker, like in terms of like getting to do their offensive stuff. Because Zayn
Yeah.
wasn't just like a throwing dummy. He definitely got his offense off, but ultimately Breaker was just too much to handle. Um, I mean, Breaker hits at least two overhead belly to belly suplexes on Zayn. Zayn was able to eventually get off the exploder into the ropes. And of course, Breaker hit Zayn with that lariat where he jumps off the apron and across the announce table, and it just looks like insane forever. Um, but ultimately, just as it's looking like Zayn might be catching some momentum, like late in the match when he does finally hit the exploder suplex, because he tried earlier and Breaker just elbowed his way out of it.
Yeah.
Zayn attempted to go for the haluva kick, but Breaker countered by hitting him with not one but two spears back to back, and that puts Zayn on the mat near the ropes. And Rollins comes over, and the camera zooms in, and you hear Rollins telling Zayn to take the deal. And it doesn't have to be this way. Just take the deal. And you hear Zayn get up. As he's getting up, he tells Rollins to go to hell again. And that's when Breaker delivers the super spear where he bounces off the ropes twice and just obliterates Sami Zayn. And Zayn ends up rolling outside outside of the ring, and the referees and other people are like trying to see if he needs medical attention. And while they're outside, Rollins steps around them to address Breaker, or look at Breaker, who's still standing in the ring looking down at the carnage he has wrought. And Rollins gives the throat slash sign, indicating that Breaker is to eliminate Sami Zayn, get him. And so Breaker rolls out of the ring and hits a massive wraparound spear on Zayn to the floor, and then rolls Zayn back into the ring. And I think we hear Breaker saying something like, this ain't over until I say it's over. But the referee decides to call for the stoppage of the match because Zayn is destroyed. And so the referee corps is all in there trying to keep Breaker off of Zayn at this point. And Rollins steps in, and he looks like he's trying to tell, Breaker to calm down. Like, he ushers him to one of the corners, and the refs are all trying to help Zayn up, which leaves Zayn kind of on all fours, or at least kneeling. And it's at that point that you hear Rollins telling Breaker, this is one of the lessons that you should pay attention to. He made his bed. He made his decision, and now he has to live with it. And Rollins immediately turns around after looking like he was trying to keep Breaker from destroying Zayn further, and stomps the shit out of Sami Zayn, and then just stands there with a cold expression while Breaker steps up looking impressed at his overlord's cruelty. And that's how the show goes off the air.
Yeah.
And it was fire.
It was fire. Yeah.
Seth looked like the Dark Lord we always knew he could be.
I cannot express how much he is my overlord. Like Seth is the heel that I've always wanted. He's the heel we all deserve. He is. Yes. I can't even. I am so here for it. Like right after the show went off the air, I just kept screaming about how awesome how awesome Seth's heel turn is, how good he is at it. I am here for it. Team Rollins.
Yep, Darth Rollins is excellent.
Rollins.
A couple of things, like one, in terms of storyline, right? Like, this is what Seth was willing to do to one of his few very close friends. So it sends a message tacitly that he will be willing to destroy literally anyone who gets in his way.
Yep.
And that's fantastic storytelling. Really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Second, you mentioned something earlier. I think you referred to Breaker as the Shelton Benjamin of the group, which is a reference to the Hurt Syndicate over in AEW. And clearly, Breaker and Seth hurt people. Do you think that this newly formed faction, which is two heavies and a mic guy, is this the WWE's response to the Hurt Syndicate?
I was thinking that, honestly. I'm no joke. I was thinking that when I was watching it, but I don't know. If they come out and people start going, "We hurt people," then I'm gonna be like, "Well, hang on now." But maybe I don't know though. It feels like it is.
I could see that. At least a little bit. I could see that. But mainly because you've got two of some of the beastliest wrestlers. I mean, Seth Rollins is the GOAT, literally.
Yeah.
And Braun Breaker is a guy destined for greatness. I mean, he's already getting greatness, but I mean, the sky's the limit with him. He's very good. Yeah. And then you have the best mic guy in the game. It's not hard to draw a parallel between that and, say, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. I mean, it's right there. So it does make one wonder if this is, at least a little inspired by what the Hurt Syndicate is doing in AEW. Or maybe not. Maybe it had nothing to do with it and it's just serendipitous because
Yeah,
this combination of players is insane and I look forward with fervor to what this faction is going to do in the WWE.
for sure.
That said, how would you rate this episode of Monday Night Raw?
Uh, Top tier. I'd give it at least an 8.5. Neck dubs. The matches were great. I had like no issues with the matches, and the promos were good. Yeah, I'm tripping. I'd give it an 8.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to one up you, but I can't think of a single weak segment in this entire evening of programming. So for me, this is a 9. This
Mm,
is 9 neck nubs, and it is absolutely top tier. This was a fantastic episode with a
yeah.
lot of cool shit happening and continuing to carry the momentum from an amazing post Mania Raw. You know, this is Raw number 2, and it's still got the ball rolling. New stuff is popping. I'm interested in each of these storylines. I love the little character vignettes. I mean, everything was fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of even one negative at all. Like this was just good. This was aces. Um, that said, this has been our review of WWE Raw from April 28th. And I want to thank everybody who joined us for this episode. And I
Mm.
invite all of you to join us for our next episode. You can find us on Spotify or any of your favorite podcasting outlets as well. We are on YouTube. And you can join us on X or Instagram to join the conversation. But until we get to that next episode, there's not much left for me to do but roll the outro. No bye, guys?
I, bye, guys. I did it.
Oh, it didn't pick up. There it is.
Oh
Do it again
no.
one more time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.